I used to spend literally days editing videos like this just for absolutely nobody to watch them. I used to think adding just a bunch of effects into my videos would get the Gen Z brain to watch them just because there's so much going on, but I've now learned that I have been doing it completely wrong. To be honest, I didn't even have a process. I would somehow plan a shoot with some random vehicle owner. I would have zero plan, and I would just take my videos, head home, and hope for the best once I get to my computer. Maybe I found an audio I kind of liked. Maybe there was one or two effects that I wanted to try while I was there. I was just thinking to myself, how can I get the coolest shot possible in that monitor? And once I got to After Effects, I didn't know what to do. I was trying to make these cool shots that I took into something super special in editing, and that just was not the way to do it. The only thing I had on my mind in that time was attention. And I would be trying to make effects to grab attention and keep attention, which is something you want to do, but that's all I was looking for, was to keep the fast-paced environment going. All I was thinking was, how can I get the coolest shots in camera at this time on the shoot location? And then when I got back to the computer, how can I make this look the coolest on your phone? And over time, I learned that the main problem I was having was that I was shooting and then editing, or I would have clips and then I would edit them. I wasn't combining the two together. It wasn't a shoot and edit all together in one. I wasn't planning out the shots for the edit. Now, once you connect shooting and editing into one thought process and planning process, you can make simple edits that you're actually proud of. And I really just wanted to test it and make this YouTube video for you guys, so that way you can put this into perspective and use it in your own content. I went out with my bike by myself, no one to help me. I shot a few simple shots with a tripod and some other camera gear. But before I went out to shoot this stuff, I had already thought out and planned the entire edit and shooting process. Now, when you're shooting solo, especially with something like a bike, you're gonna be very constrained with the type of shots you can get, but there is still a lot of options. And to be honest, you don't even really have to be that creative. So for the first shot, I had a little bit of inspiration. I had seen some videos going around of these glowing bodies floating in the air, and I really wanted to try out this shot, and it's super simple to do by yourself with a tripod. So I set the bike up across from a street in hopes that a couple of cars would pass by. I was in a very secluded area, so it wasn't super busy, but a couple did decide to pass by. Now, the main goal with this shot that I had planned on beforehand was to get those floating bodies in the air. But when you have that direction to get a shot like that, you can come up with things like, for example, me putting my face mask down or walking across as the bodies are floating in the air. This was all impromptu stuff that I just did while I was in that shot. I didn't have to use it in the edit, but it came out good, so I decided to. For this first shot, I really wanted to use a car passing by. That way I could loop the entire video. So as you can see, I had that frame come back at the end, rotoscoped out and push over the last clip to then loop back to the beginning of the video. Now, when it reveals the bike, I had to have something that absolutely hit and caught your attention right off the bat, and I decided to use the clip of me shutting my visor. And that just shows that using the direction can actually bring you even more creativity. Now, when you have your shot and your idea for the edit together, you want to make sure everything aligns with the music. When the glowing figures start to show up, they all appear right on a beat. Now, the next shot is just a simple cinematic clip, and it's more of a cut to get to the next scene that I had planned out. Whenever you're out shooting stuff like this, you also do want to get your regular baseline clips that you normally get to fill in your edits. Now, when you're using your filler clips, you also want to make sure they're not just filler clips. You want to add a little bit of pizzazz to them in editing. It changes everything. Now, you don't need to do it all of the time, but if the song and the video and the energy and motion need it, you're gonna need to add a little bit something to it, but that's what those filler clips are for. Now, the second shot that I had planned on getting was just a still frame where I'm sitting in a couple of different spots around the bike. And luckily, on location, I found this really cool bridge that I could set the camera up to give leading lines straight towards the bike. So I used the plan of getting a still frame and converted it into something even cooler by finding an on-site location that would work even better with that shot idea. As you can see, there's a couple of clips of me walking past the bike, sitting down next to it, sitting in front of the camera. There's also a couple clips in there that I still didn't use, but I didn't need them. Now, there is a couple different ways you can edit this style of clip in post. I was going to cut out the figures as they were doing their thing in the clip, but I didn't feel that it hit with the music. So I just decided to cut on beat, and it still works amazingly. And now again, I got a few more filler clips that just look really good, and you can also do some editing to them in post to make them even more engaging. Transitioning into those filler clips, I used a simple flare transition that just made everything tie together a little bit nicer. Without it, it just doesn't look as pleasing to the eye. Now coming to the third clip, there's some more filler shots, but I decided to use a quick transition to one of those filler shots just to make it flow a little bit better into the third shot. Now the last clip, I wanted a simple still frame facing the sunset on this beautiful bridge, walking towards the bike, hopping on and leaving. That's all I needed. I wanted to use that as an ending to the video. The plan wasn't to add any cuts to it at first, but like I said, the song needed it. And like I showed you guys before, that car in the beginning of the edit comes right back into frame. I always try and loop videos when I can. It's a free way to get easy viewership or shock the viewer and catch them off guard out of nowhere. They won't even know that they're watching the video again. So keep in mind, this is just 3 shots that have actual purpose. The rest of it is filler and editing. You don't need a mass amount of direction. You just need that little bit. This first shot has purpose, it has movement, there's things going on in it to grab your attention. Now that also comes along with the post-editing process, creating even more engagement and making it hit even harder. Now, here's what most people skip. You can say you plan your shots and your edits all you want, but if you actually don't get a visual and get something down on paper that you can bring up during the shoot, you won't have any idea what to do once you get to the location. The first thing I do when I figure out I have a shoot coming or right before I leave for the shoot is I'm looking up YouTube videos, trying to get inspiration from Instagram, TikTok, anything I can find. I'm saving videos and I'm taking notes in my notes app if I have to of specific shots with descriptions. A lot of the times, if I have a bigger shoot, I will actually create a whole vision board and mood board for the shoot. But for something simple like this, you don't need anything like that. You just need a basic idea of a few shots. And now when you're using other people's content for inspiration, you want to use that keyword, inspiration. Use what they've created and create something of your own with it. Be inspired by what they made. Don't exactly copy it. The edit just won't hit that hard if you don't take some sort of ownership for your shots. Now, if you're like how I was, you're spending hours of time editing, trying to make what you shot look good, then you're not the problem. You just need direction. Think about your shots and your edit as a whole, and your video will absolutely hit. If you want to work on getting better at content and you actually learned something from this video, please subscribe, like the video, comment below, let me know what you learned or what you'd like to see next. Go hit up my other social platform, Slam Studio on Instagram and TikTok. That's where I post all of my edits, and I appreciate you guys watching the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.